Welcome to Silicon Scoop, where we dive into the latest tech news impacting the world. Join John Irwin and the Startup Coach as they explore the tech news that matters to you. Stay ahead, stay informed, and now on with the show.
The Wild West of state-by-state AI laws is officially in the crosshairs, and Washington is pulling the trigger. The White House just dropped a blueprint that could kill California's AI dreams to keep America ahead of China. One AI to rule them all. The White House wants Congress to pass a national AI legislative framework that overrides conflicting state laws. It shifts power from individual states to existing federal giants like the FTC and FDA to keep regulation light touch. It effectively stops the Brussels effect in the U.S., where one strict state like California sets the rules for the whole country, ensuring Silicon Valley can move faster than Beijing. What do you think about this, John?
Yeah, so I'm sure we could talk about this for a whole hour, but the framework, it's not regulation itself. It's a set of kind of legislative recommendations to Congress, and it's outlining how lawmakers should regulate AI. But again, nothing's binding yet. But this is important because it's signaling policy direction, not enforcement. It's setting the stage for future federal legislation, and it acknowledges that Congress, not the executive branch, must ultimately act. Now, the framework itself, it focuses on 7 major domains. The first one, which I think is really critical, is child safety. Then there's community protections, intellectual property, free speech, innovation, workforce development, and federal preemption of state AI laws. However, in this itself, the most impactful areas for industry are the preemption of state laws, the innovation first regulatory philosophy, and the copyright and liability stance. We've covered copyright and we've covered IP in the past. So this is kind of addressing that. But the most controversial piece is the federal preemption of state laws. And so it explicitly calls for a single national AI standard. And like you said, it blocks states from regulating AI development. So it argues that AI is an inherently interstate phenomenon with national security implications. But states can still enforce general laws, so fraud, consumer protection, child safety. States can regulate their own use of AI, infrastructure, zoning, data centers. So there's no fragmented AI rules across states, but states still retain limited oversight power. So there's a lot to unpack here, but what are your thoughts on this, Craig?
Well, we need regulation, because it's the Wild West on everything out there. You know, I was just hearing about Canada is now striking back saying, hey, if you use any Canadian data to scrape your stuff, you owe us money. All Canadian user data needs to be stored in Canada and all this kind of stuff. So everyone's playing a little bit game around the data NI world, and it is limiting the AI companies. Now, I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm a pragmatist. I just like to say, okay, so our AI companies are constantly being limited by Canada or provincial or states. Like California has the most restrictive AI rules, apparently. So the companies now target their AI towards those rules being so restrictive. It's like the drone rules we've had in the US. It's all been based on line of sight. So if you can't, without a pilot's license, you can't do a non-line of sight drone, and which is fine, but that limits the ability or the growth of the tech around our drone industry. Other companies, potentially enemies that we might be at war with, don't have such limitations, so they go nuts with their technology and they're farther ahead in this and that. Same fears around AI, right? So what is right? What is right for the consumer versus what is right for society as a whole versus what is right, for survival of your country might all be different competing things. So I'm going to put that aside and say we need legislation. I'm glad we're taking a step forward. I don't think this was going to pass anything. I think we're going to get a lot of pushback. So the 7 framework is going to change. Hopefully we'll get some intelligent people on board to kind of help this intelligent meeting, some of the head of AI labs that are running these things just to be a part of this rather than just administrative people, so we can really get down to it. I don't want to get too far off track. It's long overdue.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see. I think it needs to be loosened up. I think if people are going to be competitive as a country or as, North America, we need to kind of loosen up some things, but that doesn't mean giving away consumer freedoms.
No, I agree. And the thing is, at least they have something to debate now. Like they have
that's what I mean.
Debate point, right? Like they have a starting point. Now, like you can always critique any legislation, any kind of law that comes into place, or any kind of framework. But again, there's a lot to unpack here. We're not going to unpack every single area, but it does address some key areas which we listed, right? Especially with that child safety, with that doll that got released from China just before Christmas last year that we covered. So there's a lot of it's a good start. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I like that they're keeping the protection of children in there, which is important. Like I'm not a fan of needing ID, digital ID, and all that stuff, or needing ID to be on social media, because it's just another form of tracking and control that everyone now will be able to track you more efficiently, whatnot. However, I do think we need protections. We did talk about the doll. We did talk about people killing themselves or harming themselves because of what AI has done. So we definitely need to keep that in check.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, this isn't. I wouldn't say this will pass, but this is a great first step, and it does address a lot of the issues that we've covered in our podcast. So a lot of things that have come up, it does kind of address most of those, right?
Yeah, it starts to address those things that we've been talking about, and why the EU has been farther ahead of us in so many things. And, they continue to be in a lot of ways, and good or bad, that's the way it is. I like to think of this update like the interstate highway system. Before 1956, driving across the country was a mess of local dirt roads and different speed limits that slowed down commerce. This framework is the federal government stepping in to build a single high-speed highway for AI, so businesses don't have to change the tires every time they cross the state line.
Yeah,
I like it. It's progress. We'll have to see whether it gets locked in at a loose level or locked in at a tight level once it goes through a few changes, right? Because it's not going to, none of us believe it'll pass like this. But was released on March 20th, 2026. Congressional action is expected before the midterms. This affects all US-based AI developers and any consumer using AI tools like ChatGPT and Gemini. $3 trillion is the total projected global AI infrastructure investment by 2028. 80% of the amount of the $3 trillion investment currently pending due to regulatory permitting friction. The 7 objectives, the core pillars of the framework include regulatory sandbox and broadband funding levers, which are interesting. The policy infrastructure, by forcing federal preemption, the governor is treating AI compute as a national security asset rather than a consumer software product by using compute to state ratios. This is the biggest federal versus state power play since 1996 Telecommunications Act, which has similarly deregulated the early internet to ensure rapid U.S. dominance. So I don't know if there's skeptics on either side of this. We'll have to see what it boils down to. The regulatory sandboxes mentioned are modeled after the fintech sandboxes first used in the UK in 2015, which allowed startups to test banking tech without a full banking license. The administration using BEAD broadband funding as a carrot. If a state doesn't play ball with federal AI rules, the White House can legally throttle their access to billions in internet infrastructure cash. And despite the light touch label, the associated Trump America AI Act actually proposes a duty of care audits, a legal concept usually reserved for doctors and life-saving equipment. So we'll have to see what that duty of care that the AI companies might be held accountable to be held to.
Yeah, exactly.
Skeptics say by gutting state power, we might lose early warning systems like Illinois' biometric privacy often catches harms like facial recognition abuse years before a federal government notices. If you're a developer or founder, you might look for upcoming sector-specific guidelines from the FTC. That's, where this will live and might open up things for you that you might not be able to do right now. I'm liking that we're moving forward. It'll be interesting to see if Canada follows suit in any of this, depending what the final act will look like.
Yeah.
So this is a national security first approach to AI that prioritizes raw speed and infrastructure over local caution. Is a single national standard the only way to beat our competitors like China, or are we trading away our digital safety by stripping states of their power? Drop a speed or safety in the chat to let us know.
Tired of drowning in repetitive tasks while your competitors race ahead? Every minute you spend on manual data entry, scheduling, and routine processes is a minute you're not growing your business. Flowgrammer.ca transforms your workflow chaos into seamless automation. We build AI-powered systems that handle your busy work so you can focus on what actually makes you money. Our clients typically save 15 plus hours per week and see their productivity double within 60 days. Visit flowgrammer.ca for a free automation audit. That's flowgrammer.ca. Stop working in your business and start working on it.
What do you got going on, John?
Just plugging away, helping companies with government funding, attending events, probably startup drinks or Flowgrammer events. How about you, Craig?
Lots of stuff going on. I honestly don't know when this is going out. I have to check. I think it's going to go out in April. But there's all sorts of stuff going on. If you don't know about OpenClaw, it's the latest AI automation agent that's taken the world by storm in 2026. And OpenClaw Toronto chapter just launched. And we have all sorts of events going on. So check out openclawto.com. Our first demo night is April 14th. We have a Builder Cafe on April 10th. We have a bunch of other events. There's updates every day. We've deconstructed the latest 2 betas over the weekend that was launched in OpenClaw and what you should do about them. There's a bunch of articles over there. Go check that out. We're also over at flowgrammer.ca where we do N8N automations. We run the Flowgrammer community and do Builders Hub and connectivity for AI and business automation agents. And for everything else, head over to TorontoStarts where we hook up startups and investors at our Startup Investor Drinks. We do mentoring, we do workshops, we have a list of investors. There's a whole bunch of content over. You can also book me over there if you want a meeting with me to talk about whatever, help your startup. Check out TorontoStarts.com. But John, if people are looking for non-dilutive funding, where should they go and what is that?
Yeah, non-dilutive funding. We're talking government grants, tax credits. Come find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Right now is shred time, SRNED. But come reach out to me too if you've got a startup, if you've got a company. Reach out to me if you have any questions, and if they have company questions about their startup in general, where do they find you, Craig?
Yeah, find me at TorontoStarts.com. But John, just before we go, something's open right now, and it's closing May 31st. Thank you. Can Export. And what? Yeah.
So if you have at least 300,000 in revenue in the previous year, and you're looking to expand outside of Canada, reach out to me, and we can put together. We can talk about an application for Can Export.
All the links we talked about will be in the show notes wherever you're watching this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Silicon Scoop. We hope you enjoyed this episode's dive into the latest tech news. Stay connected with John Irwin and the Startup Coach on LinkedIn and subscribe for more insights and updates. Until next time, stay ahead, stay informed.